Sorry, it just looks, it looks so scary. So we're getting into Merrin today. The first thing you need to do when you're going to do face paint character, make sure you put any clothes that you're going to pull over your head on. So like Merrin, she has this turtleneck, and so I put that on before I start my face paint. So to start today, I just did like normal cleansing routine, like I washed my face, I put on a little bit of lotion. Some people recommend not putting on lotion because some lotions don't sit well with certain kinds of face paint. I also recommend putting on a primer. I use the Stay Matte Rimmel. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce that. I'm not a makeup person. Disclaimer before we start, I am not a professional makeup artist by any means. Most of this is stuff that I personally learned on YouTube and things, so we're gonna get into it. So we're starting with some face primer. Alright, so all that's going to do is it's just going to make it so your skin is a little bit more ready, primed for your makeup to stick a little better, especially if you use a lotion that doesn't really stick with makeup very well. This helps just a little bit. Alright, now that we primed, let's get into the thick of it. We're starting with Merrin's base, which is a white, and I use Mehron's Clown White cream based makeup. There's different types of face paints that you can use for like different situations. I really like the cream based for going out and just longevity. We're also going to be using water based makeup later, and there's also alcohol based face paint, and those are all different. I just use water based and cream based, but alcohol based is really good too. I'm just not as familiar with it. I really like the cream base versus having like a water based base. I did actually purchase a white water base because I was going to try it, but I just prefer the cream base. I feel like it gives a lot nicer coverage, and then it also feels a lot more secure. Water-based face paint comes off really well if you're like sweating or if you cry or anything like that. It just washes away, so I really prefer the cream. I learned this technique from a YouTube video. If I can find it, I'll put it in the comments. I'm almost out. I need to buy another one, but you don't really need that much. So the magic to putting on cream-based face paint is you take a glob, kind of like, I'm taking like that much on my beauty blender, and you put it in, I put it like on my cheeks, and then you just blend it out from here. So like, you can also put some on your chin, because there's places that it doesn't stick as well, like your chin and your cheeks, and then you go from here. I look so silly. You just pat your face, and that's all the makeup you need, is that one little bit. Like, the biggest mistake I made when I started doing makeup is that I was putting way too much cream base, because especially like around your eyes and stuff, you only need like a little bit of a film. Yeah, I think I put a little more than I generally do. That's all right, because you're just gonna pat it out. Pat your whole face, and you're just gonna sit and pat your face for like a long freaking time. So I'm gonna talk about this even though I'm not done patting. I like to put the makeup up into my hairline as well. Like, you're gonna have to shower after this anyway to take all this off. So if you put some of the makeup in your hairline, especially since her hair is gray/whitish, it kind of helps. Especially, I have a widow's peak, if you don't notice, and so that makes wearing wigs kind of hard that don't have widow's peaks. So just tapping the product into the hair a little bit makes it so your hairline isn't as like noticeable if your wig starts to fall back a little bit. Alright, now that we have patted our face to the end of this earth, and we're looking very, very pale, you know, I don't go outside, but I promise that this skin has never seen the light. Oh my gosh. So now that we've patted, you can either set this as it is, because cream-based really needs to be set, or I like to go in with my contour. I've just used Snazaroo's water-based in, I believe this is dark gray is the color of this one. So you just wet it a little bit, and then you use the sponge, and then you put it on like you'd put on your contour for just like base makeup. So however you like your contour, that's how you're gonna do this. So we're just gonna wet this pan a little bit with, I have some water down here. So I just take a sponge, you pat onto the makeup, and then you just go in wherever you wanna do contour. So I'm gonna, this part's scary and it's weird doing it. I'm doing it in the camera. So you just put it wherever you want contour. You pat. And because you've not, this is a reason not to set the cream base first, is because you've not set the cream base yet. You can just pat it right into that cream base. This is gonna do is it's gonna give the white face, which is very paper and flat, it's gonna give it that dimension so that like it looks like a face. So after this step, I set it because we have the face that we want. So to set, I use Merrin setting powder. If you can't tell, I really like Merrin's products. So setting powder, I use it in neutral, but it is quite white. I've never used it on any other makeup than the Merrin, so it doesn't bother me that it seems like it's a little white toned, but I think if you were using it on a different color of makeup, that would be maybe something you'd want to take into consideration because it is a very white powder. The thing I love about this is, like, when it came, I was like, this is such a little bottle, but I've had this bottle for quite a while because you only need a little tiny bit, and obviously you can use as much as you want. I use a brush. I've also in the past, you can also use a beauty blender, especially in like your areas if you have very oily skin. You can go into areas that you really want to set, like under eyes, forehead, chin and stuff. You can go in with a beauty blender with the powder as well, just to really cake it on. But I just go in with this floofy brush and I just tap, and then I tap it out. So you're getting rid of tons of the excess product, and then I just, more tapping, because you don't want strokes, because you don't want brush strokes on your makeup. But it's just more tapping. After you've done your tapping, a lot now depends on how set you need this to be. Like if you're going to a con or something, I'd maybe set it a lot more than like if I'm gonna just like film some content in the other room. You know, I don't need it set as much, but if I'm going to a day of con, I'd make sure it's really set, because the goal is you want to be able to basically like run your hands across your face without the makeup like pulling up or sticking. Like you want to be able to touch your face without ruining the makeup. So let's get into some eyes. I'm gonna get really up close to you because I'm using my OBS as my mirror. So the way that I do Merrin's eyes is I use this little tiny eyeshadow. What we're gonna do is I'm taking a brush that kind of looks like this. I don't know the names of brushes. And all you do is you like pack on the product, and then you go in and you just tap the outer corner, because you really want that outer corner to be really dark, and then you kind of bring it in, but not all the way to like the corner of the eye, because you want to keep the corner of the eye white. And we're gonna actually I have white eyeshadow that we're going to be putting in the corner of the eye, because I like the dramatic look of kind of like the smoky eye, and so that's what we're doing, is we're basically just doing like a black gray smoky eye. So now that we have the on the lid solidified, you want to tap out, because we're going for that smoky eye look. So we're doing like depending on how far away from your eye you want the product to be, because we're going to be blending this out later with the white eyeshadow to give it that smoky vibe. So kind of put it out as much as you want, obviously trying to keep it lighter on the outside. This looks so funky. I don't know. It's hard because I'm doing it in the OBS camera. So you're also going to want to put, kind of bring this to the under eye, but it's the same concept of you want it really dark on this side of the eye, but really light on that side of the eye. So now we're going to go in, now that we've kind of toned that down, we're going to go in with the white eyeshadow, and I'm using another one of these brushes. And you're going to want to go in with the white eyeshadow and just kind of like go all the way around the outside, because that's going to give it, that's going to help it blend into the white on your face, because these are very harsh colors with each other because it's black and white. So you want to blend the black eyeshadow into the white to give it that smoky kind of ombre look. So now that we have that kind of blended look, we're going to go onto the lid with the white eyeshadow right here. And we're going to kind of do that same vibe, but just on the lid. You're going to go from the inner corner and pull it out, because that's going to give us that really nice white inner corner that you want. Boop. There's a white here in the corner that's kind of like a shiny white, and I'm just going to go in with my finger, and we're just going to kind of tap that into the inner corner, because that's going to give us that nice shine. Oh, eye makeup to makeup. And now I'm going to do the other eye, and then we'll come back for eyeliner and stuff. So next on eyes is the eyeliner. So for eyeliner, you could use liquid eyeliner, really anything that works. I just like to go in with more of that black eyeshadow and just line the eyes. Eye warning. I usually do this in a mirror. It's kind of weird doing it. And you just kind of like tap it on the bottom of the eye. So we'll be right back. Now eyebrows and eyeshadow is all done in eyeliner, and remember, it's fine if it's a little asymmetrical. It doesn't need to be perfect. So much of this makeup is like, it's okay if it's not perfect. So next we're gonna just do some eyelashes. So I'm just gonna curl my eyelashes and put some mascara on them, and then we're gonna put on some falsies because we want that dramatic look. So for false eyelashes, I believe these, I cut them off of a set, but I believe these are the Kiss eyelashes. Just use whatever falsies you prefer. You can be more dramatic or less dramatic. I'm also using the Kiss lash adhesive, strip lash adhesive. I need to get a new one. It's kind of running out, but use whatever you got. I don't have a preference. This is just what's cheap. So use whatever you want. I am no expert on applying these at all. I'm just gonna apply them in the mirror. I'll be back. Alright, so now we've got them falsies on. You can still kind of see the glue needs to dry a little bit more. But we got the falsies on now. Ooh, fancy. So that's it for the eyes. They are done. This is how I do it. So I generally just use the same Snazaroo, the dark gray Snazaroo that I used for my contour for the tattoos. That's what I've been doing for years, but I feel like it's too light, and I don't know if that's just I'm doing my makeup differently or something else, but I feel like lately it's been too light, so I got some black Snazaroo that I'm gonna mix these together. Hopefully it won't be a problem just to make the dark gray Snazaroo a little bit darker. Alright, so now we have a reference picture over here, and I got my mirror because I do not think I'm gonna be able to do this part. It's very intricate. So there's multiple different brushes that I use for this process. The main brush I use is this very teeny tiny, this teeny tiny itty bitty brush, because it just lets me lay out the lines before you go in and make them thicker. So you can hope they're going to be where you want them to. We also have this a little bit more medium brush, if you can see that. And then this one's a little wet because I was using it to mix the paint colors. And it's a kind of like a square-ended brush are the brushes that I use for this part of the makeup. So I'm just gonna go in with the tiny little brush to start out. There's multiple different sections that I break this into. First, we have this line that's on both sides of the face, obviously. We have this line, we have the under cheek line, we have the forehead, we have the nose, and we have the under the lips. And those are all the different tattoos that you have to draw on to Merrin's face. So I always start with this line here, which is the main line of the face. And so I'm going to start from, you go from about your temple to right underneath where your eye is, and you're just making one straight line. So let's do that. Line, see, and you want to keep it really small to start off because you can always go in and make a line bigger, but it's really hard to take it away after you've done it. So that's why we start with a little itty bitty brush, because then we can make really small little lines without risking ruining the rest of our makeup. So the next line we're going to do is from here to about here. Like, look at Merrin's face. If you look, she's looking straight on about where your eye meets, like the middle of your eye or the side of your eye, like down when you're looking straight forward. That's kind of where you want that line to end. And you're gonna go in a diagonal kind of down angle from where, so you start from over here where you finished your line, and we want to end up like here. And then the next line we're going to be making goes from this point to up here. So we're just going to connect those dots. So generally I would do both sides of my face at the same time, but for now I'm just going to do this side, and then I'll do this side on my own time so it doesn't take much. All right, now we have this basic line for this tattoo piece. Obviously it's not very clean, but this is just the base line. Now we're gonna kind of fill it in with these shapes that she has. So she kind of has like an arrowish shape closer up to her eye. So we're gonna try to copy that shape that you see here in this image. So it's like that line, and it zooms up like that. And then there's also, oh, you can try it. That kind of line, and this kind of, and like that. And then we're gonna fill that in. And then we're also gonna make this a little bit thicker. You know, what she has. And then we're going to move on from there and this line, and not this much, a little bit thicker down here and up here. Alright, so now we kind of have that general shape of that initial tattoo. So that is the first piece of the tattoo. The next piece of the tattoo I like to do is what we use this for, this lovely square brush, because it makes it easy, is it's, I'm like trying to point out it on screen, it's this cheek line here. So what you do is you go from here, you leave a little bit of space, but it curves with the curve that we created with this tattoo. And you're gonna wanna do a swooping motion where you basically go swoop, and then it's kind of like, you're using this kind of like you would a calligraphy pen, where you want the thick side here, and then you just swoop right to the side. So you swoop down with the thick side, and then right to the side with the skinnier side, so it creates that line. So like that, if you see what I mean, how it's like thick over here, and then thin over here. And then you can just go in and kind of clean up the lines. And there's that piece. So the next piece I'm going to be doing is the nose piece. So this, I use the same square brush that we used for this piece. And you're just kind of gonna go over your nose, because it's just kind of like a squarish over the nose. The next part we're gonna look at is the mouthpiece, because this part's the hardest part, and so I generally leave it for last. You're gonna take this brush and you're gonna put product on it, and the first line you're gonna do is you're just gonna go straight down the middle from the bottom of your lip and just down with just the whole face of the brush. So that gives us just that nice crisp line right down the middle that you can see on her face. Hers is a little bit skinnier, but I kind of like it to pronounce it a little bit, but if you want to make it more slight, you can do that as well. Now that we have that piece, now we have the little pieces on the side. So I like to not do those as like thick as this one in the middle. So what you do for that is I'm going to use this same brush. Instead of using the full face of the brush, you're just going to use the tip, and you're going to go from a little bit next to it and slide it a little bit over. We don't want these lines to be as thick as that middle line. And so the next step with this is she has like the little angles over. So you're just gonna take this brush, again, kind of using it as a calligraphy, and just kind of do that shape on the ends. That's the general shape that I generally go for. It's not exactly, as you can see, it's not 100% perfect. And obviously if you can get it perfect, please do, but that's just how. This is the level I hold myself to, you know, like it doesn't need to be perfection, it just needs to be close enough and recognizable. Now that we have both sides, and remember, it's okay if they're not absolutely perfect and the same, we're gonna move on to my least favorite part, which is this forehead piece. I don't think I have ever done this forehead piece in a way that I was 100% happy with. So the way that I found that makes this part easier is you need to find a brush that the width of like the brush size is the same as what you want that line in the middle between the two like straight lines to be. Because that's going to give you a good guide on how to get it straight up and down. Because my biggest problem is that I would draw them and they'd be like diagonal or lopsided. And so this kind of gives you a guide of like a straight up and down thing. So we're gonna do that. You put the brush right in the middle of your face, and then you draw a line on each side. Just kind of mark where you want these lines to start. And I'm back using our tiny brush. So wish us luck. So there you have your little lines, and so now you can kind of check. I think we're a little bit lopsided, but not so much that I'm gonna restart. Like we're relatively there. So then you're gonna kind of do what you did with the cheeks, where you mark where you want the lines to go. So we want the lines to kind of go under here into the eyebrow. So you're gonna mark that on both sides. Try to even that out. And then we're gonna mark how far down we want these little lines to go. So these ones, they need to go about like to the middle bottomish of the eyebrow. See how we're doing those little marks? That just lets you kind of know where you generally want to go. And then you draw them. You draw lines. You can dots. Or anything on your computer, you can take a lot of work to do. And I can have general shapes at the bottom of the piece. Now you're in, you want to take it out, get this. Take it out. First. Now you do the first part of this very fancy shape. That will be the hardest part to take out. That is. Alright, so I have that shape at the bottom of this piece all drawn out. And so now we gotta do the swoop-de-loop on the top. Now the swoop-de-loop, we're gonna do the same thing with the dots, because the dots are our guiding light. Because if you mess up where you put the dot, it's easier to clean one little dot of face paint than a whole line. So we're gonna look at her shape, and so you wanna kind of go up but out. All right, now that we have the dot guides for where we want our lines to go, we just fill in the dots. And there you go. Ta-da! So now that we have almost all the makeup done. We've got the tattoos done. We've got the eyes done. The only thing left if we have the lips. So if you got some paint on your lips, make sure to take a makeup wipe and wipe that away. Now that we have, this could look so silly. Oh my gosh, can you imagine Merrin with pink lips? Next, we do a lip liner. I need to like buy an actual lip liner, but until then, I just use black eyeshadow as kind of a lip liner just to get a general vibe of like getting kind of where I want the lipstick to go. Makes it just look a little more clean than if you don't have like a lined lip. I need to buy an official lip liner, but I just use eyeshadow. And then just kind of go around the outside of your lip, kind of lining where you want the makeup ready to go. So you kind of got that outline. Just a look, man. Now you go in, now you go in with your lipstick. I have the NYX Matte Haze in Haze. I'll be linking all the products I use down below. And then you just go in and you put it on like you'd put on any other lipstick. And there we are. All right, something else I really like to do and I've been doing for the last little bit is giving Merrin a little bit of blush. So this is the blush I use. I'm pretty sure, oh nope, it is a blush. Or it's in the color in Pearlescent Pink. This is the blush I use every day. And so you're gonna go in with your brush that you use blush. This is a pink brush that I use for blush. And you're gonna want it really light because a pink is gonna look very drastic against the white. And you just do a light dusting of pink on each of your cheeks just to give her a little bit more cuteness, a little bit more life. So you kind of go in, do a pat, pat, pat with some blush. Give her a little bit of a rosy cheek. And then you're done. And this is the Merrin makeup. Alright, so there's my tutorial about how I do the Merrin makeup on my face. I will be doing another kind of walkthrough of my cosplay now that we've gotten the makeup, but that will be a different video. If you have any questions or concerns or recommendations, since I'm very new to this myself, feel free to leave them in the comments. But thank you for watching my Merrin makeup tutorial explanation video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. May the freaking force be with you. Goodbye!